I've taken a full history from House, I've examined The Good Doctor, now there's a new TV show on the horizon, so let's investigate The Resident. Hello, my name's Ed Hope, a junior doctor in the UK, and welcome to Sick Notes, where I look at medical things and explain them in simple terms. I've been overwhelmed by your response to the videos I did on House and The Good Doctor, where I look at how they compare to real life, so thank you very much for the feedback on that. Fans of medical dramas will be pleased to hear there's a new show called The Resident about to start. The Resident is a hospital drama following the senior resident, Dr. Conrad Hawkins, with Matt Zuckery of The Good Wife and The Gilmore Girls fame in the starring role. First episode is due out end of January 2018, but let's dive into the trailer and see what we can expect.
All we want to do is help our patients. But what they don't teach us in medical school is there are so many ways to do harm.
There's certainly lots of ways to harm patients, so they're accurate on that respect. Being in hospital is one of the most dangerous places to be in general, because the drugs we give to the wrong person in the wrong dose or even the wrong route can be potentially fatal. And there are lots of safety checks in place. I don't really agree with the sentiment that we don't teach these things in med school. I work as a clinical teaching fellow, which means I teach medical students on the wards. And one of our core principles is that we iterate time and time again on how to keep people safe.
I called you up here to discuss the incident from this morning.
Just a tragic situation.
Did you hit an artery? On an appendectomy?
How could that happen?
The patient had an undisclosed heart condition.
So it looks like a new angle, really, having a sort of senior doctor as the enemy. As I said, mistakes do happen in hospital, and I know in the UK we have lots of issues with protecting whistleblowers. They're people that highlight poor clinical care and mistakes that happen. Intentional cover-ups like this are rare, but obviously by their nature we don't really know how often it happens. The case that springs to mind most recently is one in the UK where there was a transplant surgeon that was found to be branding their initials onto patients' organs using the laser scalpel. Absolutely awful case, but obviously he'd done it a few times and other medical professionals would have been aware of it, but it didn't become highlighted until there was another operation done and it was sort of seen during that operation. It'd be interesting to see how the theme of a cover-up is dealt with in the show.
What did you see?
Some family history of heart disease.
Maybe he had a heart attack.
That works.
That's exactly right. There was no way to prevent this.
You need to consider a change before you kill any more patients.
Who's the hospital gonna believe? A third-year resident with a doctor that bills $20 million a year.
Go be one of those celebrity TV doctors. You look the part.
Every time I watch one of these medical TV shows, they always have a go at TV doctors in the media. I mean, maybe I'm going down the wrong path here by putting stuff on YouTube.
Go be one of those celebrity TV doctors. You look the part.
I mean, he is right though. I would talk to Bruce Greenwood about all my intimate medical history on TV. He's got that nice kind of face.
Hey man, you know where I can find Dr. Conrad Hawkins?
Namaste. You found him. Take off that tie. You're not at Harvard anymore. Let's go. I was a first-year intern just like you. Top of your class, followed all the rules, and you think that puts you at an advantage? It doesn't.
So it looks like a kind of classic good cop, bad cop, lethal weapon style partnership with Dr. Pravish playing the sort of Danny Glover doing things by the book, and Dr. Hawkins, the senior resident, doing things like Mel Gibson, where, the guy, when he sees the book, eats the book.
Just means you have more to unlearn than the guys who weren't paying attention. You do whatever I tell you, no questions asked.
To be honest, that is pretty realistic. Lots of the senior residents, or the registrars we call in UK hospitals, they're the real powerhouses on the ward. I mean, the consultants know everything, but they're often busy in clinics and doing procedures. So it's really the sort of senior house officers and the registrars that are overseeing the new patients on the medical and the surgical take. The actual attitude, though, of forcing someone to say no questions asked, is definitely less realistic. I think it's a bit of an old school cliche that senior doctors have this over arrogance. In my experience, the opposite is true. So the more senior doctors are often more switched on and more willing to help and use that opportunity to educate you, so actually don't mind you asking questions about things.
I need a new resident. Mine's a psychopath.
You got Conrad.
Yes, I did.
Watch and learn.
Status?
She's still tacking away at 180.
I think her heart's had enough AV blockade.
Her heartbeat is back.
You saved my life, Dr. Bell.
It's a pretty banging soundtrack, actually. I hope that continues into the show. Clearly, in real life, we don't pump the hospital with this type of music. I mean, it would be nice. In reality, we have lots of bleeps and alarms, so you kind of have to figure out which alarm means you're supposed to run towards it and which alarm you're supposed to run away from it. And what you end up getting a bit twitchy if there sort of isn't an alarm going off.
This just isn't what I imagined.
Medicine isn't practiced by saints. It's a business.
Medicine, tragically, is a business now. Even in the UK at the moment, where we have the National Health Service, the rug is being pulled out from under the feet of the general public. So more and more stuff is becoming privatised.
They're really good doctors and nurses. I just want to be one of them. I think you do too.
Go on. Do it.
Conrad, seriously.
You should do it, not me.
Come on, be a doctor. Or go be something else.
I mean, it's never going to be what you expect to become a doctor. Second only from maybe going to war, there's not going to be such a big change from being a medical student to actually being a doctor. And although we try and make the medical training very good and very realistic in med school, at some point you're going to have to take the leap and have to learn things on the job.
Annabeth, 5. She had cancer. I gave her too much potassium. She died. From me, not the cancer. Everything you thought you knew about medicine is wrong. All the rules that you followed will break. If it were easy, everyone would be a doctor because this is the best job in the world, despite everything.
I completely agree with that sentiment, really. Before medicine, I worked in advertising and as a musician, and although medicine has its lows, nothing quite beats its highs.
Because of everything.
You saved her life.
Cool, so that's a quick look at the Resident trailer. It looks like we'll be following 3 doctors then. We got the corrupt consultant, the devil-may-care senior resident, and the by-the-book junior, with a sort of banging soundtrack. Looks like it will make for a good watch. I'll of course try and catch the first episode and give a light-hearted look to see how the drama meets reality compared to my experiences as a doctor. If you enjoyed this video, there's some other medical content on my channel that you may enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.